come up, steady scheming. We ain't got a lot, but you know we believe in what we feel in our hearts. As we reach for the ceiling, they all just frowned and shook their heads. I nodded with them smiling, took their bets, came out on top, and they all on the losing end. Nothing turned out how they thought it really should have been, and I ought to thank them for real. Gave me the fire, they turned me to steel. If love is war, life is a battlefield. Headed for the sky, wonder how that'll feel. Ready to be living it, making dividends. Winning is a goal, and I know that I'm getting it. My rise to the top is getting imminent. Waiting on the challengers, go ahead and send them in. This song's for the winners, never giving up, never giving in when life gets tough. This song's for the soldiers, never call it quits. Live for the challenge, they can never get enough of this. Song's for the winners, never giving up, never giving in when life gets tough. This song's for the soldiers, never call it quits. Live for
Hello. Poke us with a stick. After you tell us to go take date night. What's up?
Hey, but yeah, seriously. No, one of our favorite places had a new server, and I'm assuming the kitchen staff was new too.
Yes, because the last time we were begging for kitchen staff, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
We're late. StreamYard wouldn't let me edit things.
Not remotely, or not while we were mobile.
Yeah, I've got to fix that because, I'd like to stream mobile when we're mobile. So,
yeah, it'd be fun. Would be fun.
But no, one of our favorite spots has a new server.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And apparently a new cook that turned the temperatures down on everything because it took them forever.
It was great. It was all great.
It was delicious. Like, they're always delicious. All that. But it's like, hurry up. Get her food out.
Like, bring us the foods.
Right.
Because we are kind of used to them being really efficient.
And quick.
Yeah.
Like, we've done lunch there in 15 minutes.
We have. Well, a little more than that. More like 20. But, yeah.
So, yeah, it's time for the rats to move in, get settled into their positions. This girl's up from Florida. So she got a big surprise for her come, River Rat season. Because it is one of those lovely places.
Oh, yeah. But no, everything was great. We loved the restaurant. It was like, okay. Like, come on. Well, because she's a server bartender.
Hey, at least she's not Ann Cook.
Yeah. Like, I'll give that credit though, because our usual server is technically doing all three.
Right.
But at least they're making their own tea again.
Making their own tea. They've got the right Coke back. Yes, there's a difference between bar Coke and the regular Coke.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because that was the only way the bartender could manage it all.
Yep.
She was just doing bottled drinks and
yeah,
or canned drinks, one of the two. Like thankfully it's adjacent to a it's not a gas station. It's just a convenience store.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
took some
So
stuff 10 years ago.
yeah, so but no, that she was like it's all one business, I guess. And so yeah. I'm sure the owner was like, woo.
Well, he was in tonight. Did you miss him?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, he came up and talked to me when I was cashing out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I totally missed that. I was actually while you were cashing out, I was helping a client. So.
Okay. Well, that happened. All right. So it has been a wild ass week on the roller coaster of everything named crazy.
Yay, Aeson didn't have emergency surgery today.
Exactly. Stage 1 of Ultimate Takeover done. Moving on to stage 2.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, do we want to talk about? Well, hell, let's go for the New York story first.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm trying to get there. I am.
Man sets himself on fire outside of Trump's New York hush money trial. For those that don't remember, Trump paid, a lovely actress shut up money, and he got caught for it because he tried to write it off on his taxes.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, falsifying business records, authorities say. However, people are standing outside the trial, and apparently someone forgot that they were in the U.S. and not like Israel, India, any of the Middle Eastern countries, and set himself on fire.
Yes. So yeah. So he was later identified as a native of St. Augustine, Florida, who arrived in New York earlier in the week. Police officials said he was in critical condition. They didn't give his exact age, but he was born in 1987. He used an alcohol-based cleaning substance to light the blaze. Right now, we are labeling him as sort of a conspiracy theorist, and we are going from there, said Tarek Shepard, a deputy commissioner with the New York Police Department. Witnesses on the scene also told reporters that he threw pamphlets in the air before the incident. One of those pamphlets carried the title, The True History of the World, Haunted Carnival Edition, and included references to evil billionaires. It was not immediately clear if his actions were directly related to the Trump trial. In an online manifesto, he denounced an apocalyptic fascist coup, but did not specify Trump. So yeah.
Yeah. But apparently CNN caught it all on air. You can go Google that video if you want to see what it looks like. I'm like, please.
So yeah, meanwhile, inside the courthouse, gotta excuse us, guys. This article's being as annoying as possible. Trump faces felony charges related to those hush money payments, and it is the first criminal trial of a former U.S. president in the country's history. So yeah, there have been reporters from across the world staked out outside the courthouse during that trial.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, this should be fun.
And this is going to be I won't ever call that incident fun. I'm sure it was horrifying for those there.
Right.
It may make good news, but at the same time, it's still a horrifying incident.
Right, but we're going to see more insanity like this, is what I'm saying. Like this is like the tip of the iceberg. They've had to put out more officers on the ground around the courthouse. They've got, like right now, they've got what I call concert gates up. Pretty soon, I expect them to have full, barbed wire, armed guards, everything else around.
Yeah, I think this. Granted, I'm sure they had plenty of security, but most of that was going to be focused on the courthouse.
Right.
Not across the street, not in the surrounding area.
Right.
And especially not while court is in session.
Exactly.
You know, like all their attention's going to be based on that courthouse and making sure nothing goes wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, unfortunately it does basically act as a like magnified version
Right.
of the Today Show window.
Right.
So take that as one will. It is going to be a magnet for those looking for attention.
Right.
I'm surprised there wasn't a better response, or you know what I mean, like a bit more preparation. Like they've treated this like it's just a trial that is high vis, not necessarily one that's going to bring a lot of attention seekers.
Right.
And it's like I think I would have pre-thought that a little bit more. I'm not saying my response would have been any better. I'm not saying, like, that's not where I'm at. I'm just saying.
Right.
Given January 6th and those incidents, we this isn't just anyone.
Right. And this isn't just like, this is one of 4 trials we're going to have to put up with. I feel sorry for Maryland and Alexandria County. I feel sorry for Florida. This is just ridiculous. And I'm sorry, when he's found guilty, the cities should seek to recoup the cost of this sideshow he's making.
Well, here's the thing, though, is I don't know that you can, depending upon what he says, this is going to be the biggest part of it.
Right.
Like I'm sure the city will try to go after him if he does start eliciting the sideshow. But as long as he is not, stating it in a way, or saying anything that directly sounds like, hey, show up at the courthouse and act a fool, I don't know the city's going to have a lot of ability to be like, this is your fault.
Right.
So I'm kind of hoping we can get through this trial without him doing that.
Right.
I think that's what everyone is hoping for.
Yeah.
Is that, can we just leave the courthouse situation in the courthouse?
Right.
And then if you want to go campaign, go campaign.
Well, see, I think the first part here is they should be streaming this shit. But of course, since it's a federal case, they don't have cameras in the courtroom. So that's the problem. And I think that's the first step, is to bringing transparency to the process, is putting them on Zoom. The technology's already in the courtroom. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't know. Part of me has a really strong appreciation for televised trials.
Right.
But then part of me also knows that sometimes that makes the sideshow worse.
It does, but it's easier to control than flaming bodies in the streets.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But no, I do feel bad for that someone felt that the only way to be heard was to set themselves on fire.
Right.
I hate that they have done that to themselves.
Right.
I also hate that they have, forced others to be witness of it.
Right.
Like, that's not.
Yeah, that ain't cool.
No. Like, that's a very traumatic way to get attention.
Right.
Like the one, it looks like at least momentarily he is surviving,
Right.
though severely burned.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, there's everyone that was there.
Right.
And it's very, there's no way that's not traumatic for people that are there.
Right.
Like, don't do that.
No. Do not do that. If you're seeking to self-harm in any form, please see recommended professionals.
Yes.
Notice I said recommended professionals.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving forward, let's talk about our main story because that's going to take some time to get through.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about Title 10. I don't know if you guys have been watching some of these court cases going on, but this new one from, and they're calling them the 4 God's Misfit defendants, is a weird and complex case of, oh my fucking gods.
Yeah, that's pretty much where you've been at with this one, is like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is 4 members of an anti-government group that are charged with kidnapping and killing 2 Kansas women. So, yeah, it looks like the judge entered not guilty pleas and denied bail for Tiffany Adams, 54, her boyfriend Tad Cullum, 43, as well as Cole and Cora Twombly of Texahoma, Oklahoma.
Right.
So, excuse me, Tiffany and Tad are from Keys, Oklahoma. Cole and Cora are from Texahoma, Oklahoma.
Right. And they're also being issued
indigent defense system. Yeah, they're getting public defenders.
Right. Because they're all 4 charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, and killing the 27-year-old and the 39-year-old of Kansas, who disappeared on March 30th while driving to Oklahoma to pick up the children and attend a birthday party.
Yeah, so Veronica Butler's children.
Right.
What? During an interview with investigators, Adams, the children's grandmother, admitted she was responsible for the deaths of Butler and Kelly, according to a prosecutor's motion for the defendants to be held without bond.
Right.
So Adams, Cullum, Cora, and Cole have resources sufficient to organize and execute a complex murder. Therefore, they also have the resources to flee if given the opportunity. Good God. Adam and Cullum also owned numerous firearms, and Cullum had a rifle, ammunition, body armor, and a go bag prepared at his home.
Right.
So authorities say Adams and Butler were in the middle of a bitter custody battle. Kelly, a pastor's wife, went along with Butler as a court-approved observer to supervise the visit. They never showed up for the party, setting off a 2-week search that ended with the 2 couples' arrests on Saturday and the discovery of the bodies on Sunday. Arrest affidavits painted a gruesome picture of the scene where the women's car was found not far from the rural highway intersection where Butler had arranged to pick up her son and daughter from Adams. Investigators found blood on the road and Butler's glasses near a broken hammer. According to a witness who spoke to Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation agents, all 4 suspects were part of an anti-government group that had a religious affiliation. The affidavit said they called themselves God's Misfits and held regular meetings at the home of the Twombleys and another couple who Adams said watched the children the day the women disappeared. Well, at least the children weren't present.
Correct.
Relatives of Tad Callum and the Twombleys have not returned phone messages seeking comment. Tiffany Adams' stepmother, Elise Adams, said she had no information to share. Oh.
Interesting. There's multiple pieces interesting about this thing. Okay. So they bring in these 4 convicts, possible convicts.
Well, subjects.
Yeah. They've got, this is like a small town courthouse. Like, small freaking, like they can only fit 50 people in the courtroom. Size courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
They've got body armored police officers on the roof. Everyone is metal detected in the car, in the parking lot, and allowed in like cattle.
Mm-hmm.
They've got drones flying around the courthouse and other buildings. Like, they are prepped better than New York City was.
Sounds it. It sounds like they're, well, but then sometimes, sometimes it is the small town, like, just throw everything at it.
Well, that's
like, we don't know what we're going to do.
That he was going to do with this every day of court, because he doesn't know what the hell he goes, do you know what I'm dealing with? And the reporters go, no. Well, guess what? Neither do I.
I mean, I think that's fair. Not to be flippant about it, but I think that's fair. Because no, this is, well, and we're starting to see more and more stories like this,
right? Where
it's this weird conflation of religion. Is it a cult? Maybe-ish, not really. But is it certainly, clearly a set of like very confused beliefs,
right?
That you don't know how many people are really a part of.
Interestingly, I believe it's Keys. When they raided his home, the city, the municipality judge was sitting there on the couch. So SWAT comes in armed for battle. Like, they took all their COVID money that the police got and went over to the Army surplus store, bought
all the things.
Bought all the things. Anything and everything.
All the things.
Okay, raids the home. Does the arrest, collects the go bags, collects the 43 rifles, and tells the judge, sit there, be quiet, we'll be with you in a minute, because they don't know what ties he has to this case. So he gets released because, of course, there's no reason to hold him. Boom, 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 boom. Judge does an interview. Mayor calls the judge to the city council and fires his ass. And his comment was, you shouldn't have talked about this.
That was you were already in an uncomfortable position.
Yes.
It wasn't going to be made better by offering, commentary and opinion.
Exactly. Any interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I don't get is they're claiming indigent status, but they own thousands of acres of land and equipment. Like, they own working farms.
Well, that might be useful as collateral for bail.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not necessarily useful to pay for civil defense.
Right.
Or criminal defense in this case.
Yeah,
it's right. I mean, that's kind of the moment of like, how many chickens per hour does your attorney work for?
32.
That's a lot of chickens.
He's expensive.
Just saying, that's a lot of chickens.
Right.
So yeah, it's probably one of those situations, land rich, resource not so rich.
Well, that's a strong possibility. The other thing is, when they held the bond things, Of course, the victims' families was in the courtroom. They had to restrain the woman, the pastor's father. I believe it's one of the victims' fathers. They had to restrain him from settling the matter right there in court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it's definitely. This is one of those crimes that can probably only really happen because it's in a small town.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
you have to contend with, like, it is a small town. Some people are going to want to settle this real quick.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need a trial.
Right.
And it's like, oh, but we do.
Yeah.
Like, you really, really don't want to go to prison for this.
Now,
Like,
what's interesting is the day after this all breaks, and every news line reads the four God's Misfits group. God's Misfits come out and go, hey, pay attention, not ours.
So there's another God's Misfits.
The religious group God's Misfits, based in South Carolina and led by a man calling himself Squirrel, has distanced itself from the murder suspects alleging operation under the same name.
Oh, yeah. So the group distances itself from Oklahoma murder suspects.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, reading MSN article. A religious group called God's Misfits, based in South Carolina and led by a man calling himself Squirrel, has distanced itself from the murder suspects allegedly operating under the same name.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I accept. There we go.
Yeah.
I was looking to see, there should be more detail on that one. Okay, so on Wednesday, a man who calls himself Squirrel said that he founded God's Misfits and that their only focus is spreading the love of Jesus Christ. Some way people think they are part of us. Nothing could be more wrong, Squirrel posted on Facebook. God's Misfits is about spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, not about hate and murder. Squirrel also responded to messages he had received about the murder case and said that he started up his religious group's website in 2015. He called news of another God's Misfit group whacked out and said that people had messaged him calling his group a cult. Quote, I ain't got nothing to do with all of that, he said. I'm about scripture and about spreading the love of Jesus. I am not an anti-government murderer. Fair enough. So, yeah, it looks like they have since decided not to respond for media requests.
Apparently, after posting, the Facebook video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So a custody battle appears to have been at the heart of the slayings, according to prosecutors. The filings revealed that a problematic custody battle had raged since 2019 between Ms. Butler, Ms. Adams, and her 26-year-old son, Wrangler Rickman, over two children aged 6 and 8. At times, Adam refused to let Rickman have his children, even though Rickman had legal custody of them, according to Miss Adams' arrest affidavit. Law enforcement previously responded to a call for service where Adams refused to give Rickman his children. Oh, so this is contentious.
It is. But this has been picking up a lot. Okay, there's another case. I believe it's the Reed case that's getting ready to go to court. Like, they just seated a jury.
Okay. And yes, Brenda, squirrel.
I'll just see where I can find it.
Okay.
EB is getting ready to cover it. And then we have the Chad Daybell case going on at the same time. So like cults are really in the news right now.
See, here's the problem though. I don't know that these technically qualify as cults.
Okay.
As much as, I mean, I understand the rush to call them a cult.
Right.
Because they have fringe beliefs and there is a group. I don't know that the group's large enough and or accepting of members enough.
Right.
Typically, that's the other part of a cult, is that it recruits membership. And then typically there's also a financial and social isolation component.
Right.
So I don't know if these technically qualify as cults as well, in addition to being a fringe belief system.
Right.
That has a lot of problems.
Yeah, the Karen Reed case. Boston police officer's body found 2 years ago in a snowy yard. Now his girlfriend goes to trial for murder. I believe this is another custody case.
Okay. But then again, we don't even know for the God's Misfits if like how, like, they're anti-government, I get that.
Right.
But it's like, how fringy are they? Like, are they Chad Daybell fringy, or are they just like, stop taking our money?
Or, you don't have religious doctrine over me. I don't know. Like, I'm really beginning to question all, like, because we have the Chad Daybell case, Lori Daybell case. They're one group of fringe group Mormons with New Age TikTok flavorment.
Yeah.
We have the Frankie and Jody case. Same thing. Fringe group Mormon. Like, if you compare the two, they're fucking scarily the same. And then out in Oklahoma, we got these God's Misfit group. We haven't gotten their beliefs yet, but kind of sounding like the flavor's already in my tongue of like, that's got to have the same basis of insanity.
Well, not necessarily. This is like with all this centered around a contentious custody dispute.
Right.
It's very, very possible that this has risen to a level that it's no longer like, yes, my little God and Jesus friends help me. And it may have had a, so to speak, religious component, like we're doing God's work, we're protecting these kids, doing the work of God, whatever. It may have had that, but fundamentally at its real core, the real issue was, thankfully not against the children themselves.
Right.
No children were harmed in this except for the adult child. I don't know that it's inherently part of the belief itself as much as this is like a situation that needed far more intervention and supervision than it was given. And then this is what has unfortunately spiraled out of control.
Right. All right, guys, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Are you ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery and empowerment? Dive into the mystical world of Wicca with our courses guided by Lord Aeson Knight, unveil Wicca's secrets, explore fundamental principles, and delve into essential topics like deity relationships and the purpose of rituals. Aeson Knight, a third-degree high priest, shares his wisdom through life coaching lessons, guiding you towards a brighter future. Step into the inner circle of enlightenment. Enroll today to embark on a journey toward a more empowered you. Click the link to take your first step into the magical circle.
Ready to join the Psychic Coffee Shop Network? By becoming our patron, you'll unlock exclusive content from Aeson Knight, host of the Psychic Coffee Shop podcast and co-host of the Mountain Bears podcast, alongside the tech-savvy Techie Joe. Choose from subscription options ranging from Tall $1, Grande $5, to Venti $10 per month, supporting us in covering production costs and beyond. Depending on your subscription level, enjoy discounts on private readings, free access to classes and special events, behind-the-scenes extras, and the chance to participate in station meetings. Plus, you'll get early access to new content and the opportunity to shape future topics. We'll acknowledge your support in the credits of our videos. Don't wait. Brew some magic and join us today as a valued member. Link in the show description. Aeson Knight, your gateway to a transformed life. In a world where anyone can claim to be a life coach, Aeson stands out as a true professional with the skills and qualifications to guide you on your journey to success. So why invest in a personal life coach? Let's explore the game-changing benefits Aeson brings to the table. Ever find it hard to stay committed to change on your own? Aeson's expertise ensures you stay on track. With him as your coach, that internal drive kicks in, motivating you to keep your promises and achieve your goals. Making a change is tough, but Aeson makes it 1,000 times easier. He's your unwavering support, guiding you through challenges, pushing you beyond your limits, and believing in you even when you doubt yourself. Friends are great, but they may not always want to see you succeed. Aeson, on the other hand, is dedicated solely to your success. He removes negativity and limiting beliefs, giving you the tailored support you need. Forget endless hours deciphering advice from books and videos. Aeson is your shortcut to effective change. He saves you time and money by offering personalized attention, guiding you toward the tools and lessons that will truly work for you. Ready for a better tomorrow? Book your discovery call with Aeson Knight now. Take the first step toward the life you've always dreamed of. Aeson Knight, your partner in transformation. Start your journey today.
All right, welcome back.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but no, yeah, definitely a lot of people drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yes.
We'll definitely give Devin that one. I just don't know if it's cult Kool-Aid,
Right.
or if it's just sparkling weird religious belief.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly hitting the cult status for me. It's definitely some screwed up religious belief that I don't know. I'm really struggling with the right words to use here. I don't know that you necessarily should have to have some rubber stamp of approval to form a religion.
Agreed, but when you're
like sometimes the it's not the religion itself, it's the group. Right. And sometimes it's the religion, like the or at least the religious belief in play. Right. Like Ruby Frankie and the Daybell case, those are very clearly your religious beliefs went out a window. Right. And just that's some weird places to go with that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm seeing that in the God's Misfits.
We're not there yet.
Of Oklahoma.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We don't have enough detail yet. But mother-in-laws. Also, mother-in-laws, what is going on with you all?
Fair enough.
I mean, First we have, we have God's Misfits, and then we've got Donna Alderson,
Okay.
who was finally arrested when she flew into town. Why, if you're on the run, do you ever fly back into the United States? I do not understand. But she's 73. Is accused of first-degree murder, conspiracy to kill a first-degree murder for killing her daughter's husband.
Oh, wow. Like, that's a monster-in-law.
Right. Of course, the daughter is also convicted.
Well, yeah, but...
Yeah.
Divorce sometimes is easier, just FYI.
Divorce is easier. Shared custody is easier. Keeping your mother-in-laws out of your business is easier.
Oh, definitely keeping her out of the, shovels aisle of Lowe's. Just general theory.
Yes. Your mother-in-law is not to go to Lowe's. There is no reason for the woman to ever go to Lowe's.
Fair enough.
If you take her shopping and she picks up duct tape, tarps, and shovels, you don't let her check out with them.
It's like, okay, no. Back to Shady Pines with you. Just saying. But no, yeah. Like, I don't know if this is a religion problem, a belief problem, a weird pockets of friends problem, or random people finding each other and sharing some out there beliefs.
Right.
I think with yeah, I know, that's why he's afraid. Brenda points out Joe's mother-in-law wouldn't be plotting against Joe.
That's why I'm afraid.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So Devin said, I told my daughter's boyfriend, keep a job and keep your hands off my kid and we will get along fine. Fair enough. But are you gonna form a religion and host meetings at your house and then convince your little tiny worship group to commit a felony? Like, just asking, Devin. Just curious. Like, are you there or
Right.
like? But no, Devin's like, no, I won't do that. But the fact that we have news stories that I mean, that's basically so far what God's Misfits is sounding like.
Right.
Of Oklahoma. I feel like we need to just keep putting of Oklahoma. Like, there's a South Carolina group. We don't know what all they're into, but their general is, oh, hell no, we hate these people.
Exactly.
And I feel compelled. Somehow I don't feel like if your principal leader of your group is named Squirrel, I just
see, I don't have even a thought on that one over the name because I'm used to so many pagan names out there. It's just like Lord Squirrel. Okay.
Like, fair enough. At least it's not a, High Priestess Amber. Y'all want to know, that's his lease. And it's not because he has anything against any one particular Amber.
Mm-hmm.
It's a name chosen by a lot of people. And it's like, not another one. Like, no more Amber.
I have issued decrees over that one.
He literally has no more Ambers. You can choose any name you want, not Amber.
If you choose Amber, fine. You will be renamed at your next degree. Mark my insignia. I'll take that one.
Yep, that works beautifully.
Yes.
But yeah, no. So I don't know what I just feel like this is like grandma's bingo or like bridge club or something. You know what I mean? Like,
right. But at the same time, I'm like, how many more members, how many weird cults do we have out there? How many situations are we going to be facing over the next 6 months? That's like, ugh, like, come on. Like, like, it gets a point when court TV can't even keep up with the cases. And then you have stupid lawyers. So you don't have this news story, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. So I'm watching the Chad Daybell case. Been watching it. It's lovely. Keeps me awake during the nights. Keeps me from wanting to, like, I don't know, wash the ceilings to keep away from drinking things.
He had to fast for today's medical testing, FYI.
Yeah, wasn't a good thing.
No.
So it's a normal court day. I've heard most of these conversations before. It's a great ADHD distraction because I know the text messages. You know, it's like listening to the same song 50 times. It's great. My brain doesn't have to think about it. And then they take a break. And I'm like, well, this is unusual. He doesn't normally take a break this long during a court day. And then they come back and the prosecutor's not sitting at the prosecutor's table. I'm like, well, this is freaking different. What's this? Easter Sunday, 1 a.m. The court gets an emergency motion to continue trial by a lawyer that is not the lawyer for the state. And is not the lawyers for the defense.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with this case.
Whole new name.
Whole new name. Easter Sunday, 11 a.m. Everybody's phone starts ringing. Guess where the judge, the prosecutor, the defense attorneys, the court clerks are? Everybody else.
In the middle of church.
Yes.
That's not a happy judge.
No. And you want to hear all above all, what was the cherry on top of the judge's cake?
I'm afraid it was an oopsie.
Huh?
It was an oopsie.
No.
Okay.
He done it on purpose as a concerned citizen.
Oh, no.
He has a bar number so he could actually file this.
Oh, Lord.
Top, what do you think the number one thing that pisses a judge off more? Top thing.
I have no idea.
He misspelled the word continuance.
So his countenance.
Yes. Like the whole document looked like not even a shitty first draft. It looked like a drunken first draft of a lame non-attorney. The judge literally said, I have seen better motions wrote by non-lawyers representing themselves in this court.
So what is it you want?
Why do you have standing here?
Yeah. Why are you filing a motion?
Right.
So I take it someone is being judicial or being reviewed, having their bar license reviewed.
Probably.
So what wonderful responses did this attorney have?
I'm a concerned citizen. I have a right to, because I have concerns about this case.
Oh. Okay, so someone who basically was literally, armchair quarterbacking. Sitting at home watching, replay footage.
No, they had done, they were in the middle of ordering a jury. playing
They're not
Sweet
even far
30.
enough down the road.
Yeah. They go on Easter break.
Yeah.
He files us on Easter break.
On Easter Sunday.
On Easter Sunday, which immediately, for those that don't know, creates a large commotion because the court is monitored all the time
Mm-hmm.
with a new digital system. So the system digitally sends out these alerts. Bing, 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 ding, 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 ding. Everybody's calling everybody. What the hell? Is this
Who the hell?
yours? Is this dude yours? What the hell? What that? We've got to have an emergency meeting, because they're thinking this is a big emergency. Yeah. So not only that, but he got sanctioned.
I would say so.
He has to pay, and I guarantee you it is after hours amounts of money. Not the reasonable rate, the after hours amount. Because for those that don't know, you bring a lawyer out of bed, he's charging you a special rate. It's not his normal.
Yeah.
And for all the resources that was occurred during a holiday to the court.
Yeah, so not only, well, it's not just any holiday, it's the weekend. It's a holiday. It is a very specific religious holiday. And you assembled everyone.
Yeah.
Into a courthouse on a Sunday in the middle of the afternoon
to figure out what to do. And then didn't even respond to the judge's phone call. Had to be summoned to court with his lawyer that he was paying to be there, but didn't get to say 3 words.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, there is nothing, and it's probably the safest thing that he could say at that point was nothing.
Yeah.
Say not a word.
Right. Because I'm quite sure he could have gotten sanctioned very quickly himself.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that, I enjoy in my free time. I hope I don't bore you guys with court talk.
Oh, so Brenda was doing a little research for us. Google says approximately 10,000 cults in the U.S. as of last year.
I wonder if it counts the biggest two.
Careful.
Just wondering.
Just saying.
I know. All
right.
Yeah. All right. So moving over, Title 10 has been exchanged and updated finally.
Yes. So, pardon?
Title 9.
Title 9. Yeah. Biden's new Title 9 rules protect LGBTQ plus students, but avoid addressing transgender athletes. That's a needle to thread. So the rights of LGBTQ plus students will be protected by federal law, and victims of campus sexual assault will gain new safeguards under rules finalized Friday by the Biden administration. The new provisions are part of a revised Title IX regulation issued by the Education Department, fulfilling a campaign pledge by President Joe Biden. He had promised to dismantle rules created by former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, who added new protections for students accused of sexual misconduct. Notably absent from Biden's policy, however, is any mention of transgender athletes. The administration originally planned to include a new policy forbidding schools from enacting outright bans on transgender athletes, but that provision was put on hold. The delay is widely seen as a political maneuver during an election year in which Republicans have rallied around bans on transgender athletes in girls' sports. Instead, Biden is officially undoing sexual assault rules put in place by his predecessor and current election year opponent, former President Donald Trump. The final policy drew praise from victims' advocates, while Republicans said it erodes the rights of accused students. The new rule makes crystal clear that everyone can access schools that are safe, welcoming, and that respect their rights, Education Secretary Miguel Cardona said. No one should face bullying or discrimination just because of who they are or who they love, Cardona told reporters. Sadly, this happens all too often. Biden's regulation is meant to clarify schools' obligations under Title IX. The 1972 sex discrimination law originally passed to address women's rights. It applies to colleges and elementary and high schools that receive federal money. The update is to take effect in August. Among the biggest changes is new recognition that Title IX protects LGBTQ plus students, a source of deep conflict with Republicans. The 1972 law doesn't directly address the issue, but the new rules clarify that Title IX also forbids discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. LGBTQ plus students who face discrimination will be entitled to a response from their school under Title IX, and those failed by their schools can seek recourse from the federal government. Many Republicans say Congress never intended such protections under Title IX. A federal judge previously blocked Biden administration guidance to the same effect after 20 Republican-led states challenged the policy. Representative Virginia Foxx, a Republican from North Carolina and chair of the House Education and Workforce Committee, said the new regulation threatens decades of advancement for women and girls. This final rule dumps kerosene on the already raging fire that is Democrats' contemptuous cultural war that aims to radically redefine sex and gender, Fox said in a statement. In the last few years, many Republican-controlled states have adopted laws restricting the rights of transgender children, including banning gender-affirming medical care for minors, and at least 11 states restrict which bathrooms and locker rooms transgender students can use, banning them from using facilities that align with their gender identity. Okay, but the rule makes clear that treating transgender students differently from their classmates is discrimination, putting the state bathroom restrictions in jeopardy, said Francisco Negrin, an attorney who specializes in education law. The revision was proposed nearly 2 years ago, but has been slowed by a comment period that drew 240,000 responses, a record for the education department. Many of the changes are meant to ensure that schools and colleges respond to complaints of sexual misconduct. In general, the rules widen the type of misconduct that institutions are required to address, and it grants more protections to students who bring accusations. Chief among the changes is a wider definition of sexual harassment. Schools must now address any unwelcome sex-based conduct that is so severe or pervasive that it limits a student's equal access to an education. So under the DeVos rules, conduct had to be severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive, a higher bar that pushed some types of misconduct outside the purview of Title IX. Colleges will no longer be required to hold live hearings to allow students to cross-examine one another through representatives, a signature provision from DeVos rules. Live hearings are allowed under the Biden rules, but they're optional and carry new limits. Students must be able to participate from hearings remotely, for example, and schools must bar questions that are unclear or harassing. As an alternative to live hearings, college officials can interview students separately, allowing each student to suggest questions and get a recording of the responses.
I don't like that.
Okay.
It should be sent to a court of law, not a live child jury.
True. Which I think technically, if it meets the legal definition, I think you can step entirely out of Title IX and go to the courthouse.
Right.
But fundamentally, if it doesn't quite rise to that, you can also handle it internally. And I think in a lot of cases, it ends up doing both.
Okay.
is that there's a Title IX portion, there's a legal criminal portion, and then there may also be a civil suit as well.
Right.
So yeah. But no, I'm wondering if this is going to be one of those end run moments
Mm-hmm.
in which we're sitting here thinking, well, you didn't specifically dig in deeply
Mm-hmm.
on trans issues
Right.
with Title IX. But perhaps in the wrap up you kind of did.
Right.
That, well, we included this,
Mm-hmm.
and now all of this applies to this group of people.
Right.
So whatever it is, you can't do that.
Right.
So I think maybe there was an end run that didn't specifically go, we are not going to allow you under, Title IX,
Mm-hmm.
to ignore trans students. I think maybe without saying that, they did that.
Right.
And it's going to be one of those, take them to court.
Mm-hmm.
August 1st, take them to court.
Right.
You're going to have a hard time getting this through a courthouse in which it doesn't look like a Title IX violation.
Right.
Like, wait till August 1st. The minute it happens on August 1st, take them to court.
Right.
Have a nice day. Like,
and it's just like,
okay.
I don't know. I want to see more movement from the federal government on this.
Okay.
Okay. I think they could be doing a lot more movement. Even if they need to create their own leagues, I guess you could call it.
Okay.
Like, that's why we have the midget teen league, little league and all that, is because of students that were not allowed to play in the school.
Well, but at the same time, that sometimes devolves into separate but equal.
Right.
And it's like, you don't want that.
Right.
Like, no, that becomes a whole different ball of wax.
Right.
I mean, if you're talking about, specific leagues for people with disabilities or specific leagues for people with, like they're of short stature, that can just basically be, it's sort of easier in some situations. It does become a little bit separate but equal, but it also becomes a more fair field to play on.
Right.
And I don't know. I think sometimes that can get into a how equal is equal.
Right.
And how fair is everyone is equal.
Right.
Like, it can get a little dicey.
Saying with that is create a league outside that's all inclusive. And what I mean by all inclusive is trans kids play with, cis kids play with non-cis kids, and show them that it can be done correctly. Like, sometimes you have to lead them down the trail with a broom in your hand, to bap them over the head when they slow down.
Oh, fair enough.
Right.
So for you, it would be more like it's not an alternative league.
Right.
It's just, we're gonna make like a county league.
Right.
And then in addition to the various, so it's like an all-stars team, sort of.
Right.
Okay, so we take kids from multiple schools all on one team. but they're still playing against
Right.
individual schools.
Right. Well, they're still playing against other leagues.
Oh.
If there's not enough students, because we're talking like, I think in the state of West Virginia, we have a total of 15.
What?
Yeah. We have a total of 15 students affected by the trans athlete ban.
Seriously? Because I know we have one of the highest per capita number of trans persons.
Right.
And somehow I would have expected that number to have been higher.
Right.
And then sometimes it's how do you define affected?
Meaning playing or was playing or wanted to play. Like there's a suit going on, and I think they quote the number as like 15.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then that assumes that like the whole issue isn't preventing some students from even going near sports.
Right.
Which is probably the bigger, like it's bad enough when there are students who want to play that even with this, they're like, fuck it, I'll play.
Right.
Like I'll deal with everyone's crap.
Right.
Versus the number of students that because of the crap are like, I'm not getting anywhere near sports.
Understandable. And
Like,
there's a lot of movement going on within the teen trans community because of laws right now. But and I'm not saying just because we have 15, that's not the case.
Right.
It was more so when you show them it can be done, it can be done correctly, it can be done like everything works when it's all equal, then you're able to show the government. It's kind of like we had to get like TV stars on, gay actors on TV, gay lifestyle portrayed mostly correctly on TV, get people familiar with the shadow that they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically, let's normalize.
Right.
And then the next hope being that normalize it for a couple of years and then integrate.
Right.
Okay.
Get them, like, show straight people, show these ones that are fearful. I find it interesting, however, that the governor sure recused himself, especially since he coaches Greenbrier high school or one of the girls' basketball teams, and was fearful that his girls would lose the championship. And he said that in a press interview.
Which, again, it kind of speaks to the level of misinformation involved.
Exactly.
Like, that's not how that works.
I know. I would have liked to see the local journalist hunt up the girl from Midland Trail that played football and beat, and I do mean beat, Oak Hill's ass.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Yeah.
But for that, and that's probably the biggest problem with the debate.
Right.
Are the number of people who are so misinformed they don't have a position to debate from.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like I tried all my best to watch the congressional hearings on Facebook, now Meta, in which they were discussing the misuse
Right.
of data.
Right.
That basically were, being propagandized on Facebook, based on, anyway. So there was that whole congressional hearing, and I tried, but
Right.
it was the longer I watched, the more like, you people don't even know what you don't know that
Mhm.
you don't know,
Right.
to be able to form a question
Right.
that actually has any relevance here.
Right. That's been the whole TikTok thing too. I'm like, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
You don't understand how this app works. And then I was
Do you understand what an app is?
right. And then I was really upset because the one congressman that used TikTok to get elected
Yeah.
sounded as dumb as the rest of them.
Not surprising. It really isn't. But at the same time, it is very frustrating.
Right.
That it's like, so what are we doing with a congressional hearing here?
Right.
Other than we're watching a bunch of people talking to high-level executives,
Right.
or people who have degrees and experience and years of ability,
Right.
to talk to this issue,
Right.
being asked questions that it's like the kindergartners at the museum,
Right.
and it's like, how do the dinosaurs walk?
Right.
Like, oh my god, do we have to start at like, explain it like I'm a 5-year-old?
Right.
And then, like, hi, let me try to condense
Right.
an entire like education
Right.
into something I can explain to a 5-year-old in a way that they can pass law.
Right.
Like, that's a big ask for any human being.
Right.
To take the skills and abilities that you have, condense it down to where you can explain it to a 5-year-old,
Right.
and then answer enough questions that someone has a meaningful intelligence on a subject,
Right.
to pass law.
Right.
I don't feel like we need congressional hearings. We need congressional, like, college.
Right.
Like, just sign up and take a class, dude.
Yeah.
Like, welcome to Congress. You now take 6 classes a week.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to your time voting. You
Right.
take 6 classes a week. There's a test at the end. You have to understand some very fundamental things
Right.
about some very key issues.
Right.
So, gender identity 101.
Mm-hmm.
Queer lifestyle 102. Just like,
If you're voting on a bill, you have to be able to pass a test on the bill before you can vote. I think that should be the new rule of the land.
I think it, like, I don't even need you to be able to tell me what's in the bill. I need you to tell me what are we talking about?
Exactly.
Like, do you have the non-religious basis,
Right.
to understand key functional points,
Right.
of like who people are,
Mm-hmm.
and what concepts are in play,
Right.
and in a non-religious context,
Right.
what those mean?
Right.
And just like, now, if you decide to let your religious belief override that, there's nothing any of us can do.
Exactly.
If you decide to pander to your constituents,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing any of us can do.
Right. But the other part of this, and this annoys me, is religion should have, the state and religion should be separate. That should also be in laws.
I'm sorry, it should be what?
Meaning that religion should have no influence on law. Like, I am seeing too many congressmen quote the Bible and misquote the Bible. Like, that's worse. If you're going to quote the Bible on the congressional floors, which should be struck, and you should be fined for it because you're violating church and state. But if you misquote it, it should be triple fined.
Yeah, that's even worse. Like, like make it worse. That's how you make it worse.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I do think, though, to some degree, I think your religious belief can inform your decision. I would hope it would inform it in a positive way.
Right.
That, we are all one children under a creator, and I can approach religion from that concept and be like, that's kind of cool. We all deserve to be treated fairly and equally. We all deserve, we all share unalienable rights, like this basic Constitution stuff. I think the two can go hand in hand, that it's a living version. That if your religion and the key basis of it functions as a kind of the core concepts of our Constitution, I don't have a problem with that. Like, if that helps you to understand this, if your religion and how you're supposed to treat people in it is what creates a basis for you to understand the Constitution and how you're supposed to treat people under it, I can follow that. I can be cool with that. I think when you misinterpret one as the other, you've got major issues. When you decide that your religion is not about helping others, but about, basically going after others for not believing, or not believing the way you do, that's a far, far, far cry from what you were elected to do.
Exactly.
That's not how this works.
Right.
It shouldn't be how this works. That's the more important part. The fact that it is how this works very often, frequently, too often for us to tolerate.
Like, we have 10 hours
cover
live stream just showing each and every time any elected official violates that law.
Yeah. That their religion supersedes their oath of office.
Yes.
And yeah. And to the detriment of one or more humans. Because that does occur frequently.
Yes.
Freakishly frequently.
Right.
I don't get it. I get it. You know what I mean? It's one of those, I'm not a child, I'm not stupid. I get it.
Right.
Like, you use this to get elected. You use this as a wedge divider. You use this as, support for hate because these people hate the same people you do. I get it. But it's like, why?
Right.
Why? Controversial statement, maybe an unpopular opinion. I don't think your job as a representative, as an elected official, is on that level necessarily all that hard.
Right.
You were looking at your constituents. You were trying to make, in good faith, or should, a best decision for them.
Right.
While understanding that sometimes you also have to consider a greater majority.
Exactly.
That it may be great if, like, the wonderful state of Texas got, 90% of the federal budget. It might be really great for Texas if that were to occur.
Right.
But what does that do for the other 49 states plus territories?
Right.
okay, then we have to consider that might not be the best decision to make.
Right.
And then to actually have to tell someone, but you also need to do this outside of your specific religious beliefs.
Right.
Especially when they kind of like to hate.
Exactly.
Like, I would have figured you got elected, you should be able to do that.
Well, I figured, if you got elected, you should be held very highly to standards. And we don't see that anymore.
No, because it's popularity contests, and unfortunately, the popular opinion is very negative.
No, it's not even a popularity contest anymore. It's a spending contest.
Hmm?
All right, so let's find out if you're an asshole. And you've got two options.
All right, so I'm going to go with yours.
Okay.
Am I the asshole for not agreeing to serve non-vegan food at a vegan wedding? I own a venue and restaurant that is often used for weddings and a vegan street food truck along with a few other venues. Because of the vegan food truck and the fact the restaurant has a reputation for good vegan and vegetarian food, we were booked to host and cater for a very large and prestigious wedding. All of the bride's family are vegan, and so are most of the couple's guests, but the groom's family are not. The wedding is in May, and last week the couple sent out a menu choices email to all the guests with the vegan menu listing the dishes they have chosen. The whole menu is vegan, including the cake, which I am baking myself. To make sure everything is both kosher and vegan, we are deep cleaning the kitchen the day before and will be doing a special vegan night at the restaurant, so there is no chance of any cross-contamination. Since the menu email was sent, I've been approached about 10 times from different guests who have asked for non-vegan food, i.e. they want meat. I have refused because it's not my wedding to plan, and this is what the couple want. I and my staff have in each case said no, and please talk to the couple. We spoke to the wedding party last night, and they are happy we said no and sent out an email to everyone saying it's vegan or nothing. The groom's parents have since exploded on the phone about an hour ago at us for dobbing them in and ruining their wedding because they didn't want anyone to know that they and their children had asked for no vegan food. Since the call, we've had loads of comments on our review sites about how our vegan food is crap and not really vegan. I'm having them taken down, but am I the asshole for not just giving them the food and keeping the peace? Oh, no, I don't think you're the asshole. I can't believe though. Like, I'm really struggling with the idea that, like, you're invited to a wedding, the couple is vegan. I'm sure most of the people already knew this. You got the menu.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't go to this event.
Right.
Or, maybe I can tolerate a vegan menu.
Well,
for one meal.
Well, not only that. Okay, this is the reason I chose this, because we have a couple that's vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
Very vegetarian. They make delicious looking food. I haven't gotten to try a few of the recipes yet because eggplant's not in season. Just my choice to wait for it's in season.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll give it a shot. But I would never in my life, being the carnivore human I am,
call the venue
right
and blow up on them
exactly.
because the wedding couple
mm-hmm.
decided to only serve a vegan menu.
Right.
Part one. And then part two, I mean, it's one night. Like Brenda's comment already is, one meal without meat will not hurt anyone.
Right.
Yeah, like I mean, if your dietary restrictions are so high, you just can't have
right
one meal without meat. I I think you have to make your choice based on that and not go.
Right. Now read this menu because most of this sounds pretty good.
All right. So menu on arrival. Chickpea falafels with hummus or beetroot dip. Cauliflower buffalo bites. Vegan mozzarella sticks. Veggie sticks with bean dip. Grazing boards filled with nuts, dried fruit, flatbreads, vegan cheeses and seeds. Think charcuterie boards, but without the meat and dairy. Vegetable rolls in rice paper, risotto balls, sweet potato fries. First course, massaged kale salad with avocado and lime dressing, heirloom tomato salad, gazpacho Thai coconut soup. The entree is zucchini noodle pasta and lentil mushroom meatballs, eggplant parmesan with nut-based cheese, stuffed acorn squash with cranberry sauce, great for fall or winter weddings. Grilled veggie tacos with avocado, salsa, and vegan queso. Mushroom quinoa burger with sweet potato fries.
Like, the only thing I wouldn't try there is sweet potato fries. And that's because I've tried them before and I don't like them.
Hey, they might be awesome.
Well, they might be, but for me, I need that.
But again, that's one option on the menu that's
Exactly. Right.
Like your biggest concern might be with your own food allergy and if any of these contain barley.
Right.
But other than that, because there's some options there that may have barley.
Right.
But otherwise,
yeah.
I mean,
that would be my only question is which one of these contain barley or barley extract, so I know which ones to avoid. Big deal.
Yeah. Like, shouldn't be that bad. You should have at least a couple of options that are fine. Like, if nothing else, the mushroom quinoa burger with sweet potato fries, and you skip the fries. You'll probably put a hurting on the hors d'oeuvres table.
Yes.
So, and then I figure you're probably not going to be a big fan of the kale salad. But I figure the heirloom tomato you'll knock out with.
Heirloom tomato I'll knock out. The gazpacho I'll knock out. The Thai coconut soup. Now, that's something we need to put on my try list.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Would I understand if you went to this wedding and you went, vegan. Like, I had some things I snacked. It was garbage. I didn't like it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But I think overall you could probably survive. More importantly, this is the reception.
Right.
This is the reception. A fair number of people choose to go to a wedding and skip a reception.
Right.
I think if you were that much of a diehard meat eater, go to the wedding, then go to a steakhouse.
Exactly.
I think everyone will be fine.
One meal without meat will not hurt anyone.
Yeah.
You eat what is served when you are a guest or skip eating. Most of us skip a meal, laugh out loud.
And generally, there is time between a wedding and a reception.
Yeah.
If for nothing other than the bride's convenience. Because, good God, that dress has got to get annoying after walk down the aisle. Yes, I do. Get me the fuck out of here. I want out of this dress.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how pretty it is or how pretty you feel in it. There's got to come a point in wearing the dress where you're like, get me the fuck out. And that generally seems to happen between the wedding and the reception.
Yes.
It's like, I would like to breathe. I would like to be able to drink and eat without having to worry about how much it's going to cost to clean the dress. So typically there's a delay to allow everyone to get there.
I want to say, however, I'm glad to see not another damn dry chicken. Like, that's the things I throw a fit over, is like not a dry stick. Now, I do want to point out some things that I think that these guys are going above and goddamn beyond
Okay.
in this post. By the way, the poll's up. You get to vote. Yes, they're an asshole for not offering meat. No, they're not an asshole for offering meat. Everyone is shitty here, or you're a dill pickle.
Well, one, I really struggle with the idea that anyone would say that, yes, you're the asshole
Right.
for not changing the wedding party's menu
Mm-hmm.
because someone not part of
Mm-hmm.
you're not the wedding planner, you're not the bride, you're not the groom,
Mm-hmm.
has called you up
Mm-hmm.
and cussed you out
Mm-hmm.
and demanded you accommodate their meeting.
Right.
Like, what? Oh, I'm sorry. You thought that was a thing?
Apparently. But no, this place is closing down their restaurant and their venue,
Mm-hmm.
deep cleaning the complete place. So that's extra staff hours. And then they're taking everything that's not vegan off their restaurant menu the day of the wedding. Now
So
that's
that
going
they
above
don't.
and beyond.
Yeah. Well, now this is vegan versus vegetarian.
Right.
Which, I mean, there's some differences there.
Right.
And so the reason that they're changing the menu after they do the deep clean,
Mm-hmm.
so vegetarians consume dairy and egg,
Right.
and often inedible animal-based products such or use and have anyway. Animal-based products such as leather, wool, and silk. So yeah.
Yeah.
There are differences, and it does become a massive issue for vegans specifically.
Right.
That, like, vegetarians are generally a lot more okay.
Right.
And this is from my own personal experience. Vegetarians are a little bit more okay with the idea that their food may touch and come in contact with surfaces that have also cooked, and perhaps recently, as recent as the last item on it,
Right.
the same surfaces that have prepared meat-based foods,
Right.
or vegetarian food that includes dairy and eggs. So vegans do get a little crunchy about that.
You keep talking.
Okay, so vegans do get a little crunchy about that one because they're like, I want no contact with the meat eater world. No eggs, no dairy, no meat, none of it. I want no part of it. To the point that it can become an issue if you're cross using. They, like in the post, they're calling it contamination, which I think that's an extreme word to use, but I understand why it's chosen. But it's fundamentally a thing of vegans can be very picky about the idea that their food has had any contact with anything that is meat based. So yeah, and I've had that experience. I didn't understand it in the beginning, where I had to have a interesting conversation in the come to Jesus moment of, like, learn about veganism, because we were planning an event, not Aeson and I, but this was back in college, in which we were doing a cookout and trying to offer a vegan option. And I was having a little bit of a fall apart because we had a limited budget. And there's the additional concept of this is a public park. I what do you want me to do? I can put some foil over the grill. I can cook all the vegan options first, and then we can cook all of the meat base. Because there was a whole conversation about having, two different sets of utensils and everything else, just to cook food with. And I'm like, look, guys, we don't have the
Right.
like, so it does become an option to do the deep clean, or to otherwise protect the surface. In my case, it was aluminum foil. You can't really do that in a commercial kitchen. That's not going to work. This was a little cookout. It wasn't anything major. And imagine my annoyance. We had 2 vegans show up to our little cookout, and they were so used to not having an option for their diet, they ate before they went. I also found out I dearly love black bean burgers and had no idea.
Right.
I do. I like, because we bought all the food. And apparently I was the only one that would even give it a shot.
Yeah.
Like, I found it all kind of funny. So in context of this, so many vegans are so used to not being able to have their own, like, dietary needs met. They often skip meals or plan around or eat before or plan to eat after, so that they basically fit in.
Right.
So to see this flipping the other direction and how absolutely intensely angry this family has gotten,
Right,
is kind of funny to me.
Right.
Because meanwhile, I went home, like, and I wrote the check, so, it was worth it. I went home with all the vegan food.
Right.
From this event, because I paid for it and we couldn't get reimbursed and everything. Is how it went. It was a down the road thing. I thought I was getting reimbursed. I didn't get reimbursed. I spent a lot of money.
Right.
So I'm like, well, all the vegan food's going home with me.
Right.
Like, all the hot dogs, like meat-based hot dogs, were cooked and served out. All the vegan stuff went home with me. Turns out I really love a black bean burger. Did not expect that. Because I'm sorry, I looked at them and was like, this is gross.
Right.
Because I will freely admit, vegetarian burgers, the black bean burgers, are disgusting looking. Like, if you look at them, they're god awful. And in a sentence that will make any vegan want to shoot me, I will say they are amazing with bacon and cheese.
Right.
Please don't shoot me. Please don't come after me. I'm just saying, as a meat-eating, person, the burger on its own is great. I'm sure it would have been wonderful with the nut-based cheese or whatever. But regular old sliced cheese and some bacon, it's actually really good too.
Yeah.
Like, they're good, just don't look at them.
All right.
Don't ever look at a black bean burger. It will disgust you.
All right.
Oh, Brenda says the spicy black bean burgers are so good. And Shannon says, I know kosher Jewish people who are less psycho about that.
Right.
I I also had the fun experience in college of a friend of mine was Jewish. I had no idea what kosher was or how I was supposed to cook or what I'm supposed to do. So I asked. And we had to have a deep moment because she looked at me and she explained it. It's like, keep your meat and your dairy separate. Do not mix meat and dairy. Meat and milk, don't mix. Don't mix. Okay, cool, I can do that. And then she proceeded to tell me that her favorite thing in the whole wide world was a double cheeseburger. She said, my mama don't need to know about that.
Right.
She said, so cook however you're going to cook, I'll make it work.
Right.
And I died. I was like, I'm putting more effort into keeping you kosher than you put into keeping yourself kosher. Hi.
All right. So the poll is up. Let's go over to relationship advice. And since we were late, we will do one more Are You the Asshole?
Oh, we're going to do the other one too?
Yeah.
All right. So relationship first, though?
Yeah.
All right. So polyamory, what are the boundaries you like to set out of the gate right as you start dating or before you decide to date someone? I've never seen myself in a monogamous relationship long term. Even as a kid, my dreams for my life never included a traditional structure. This being said, all my relationships till my most recent one have been monogamous. I'm 22 years old. You know how it is. I'm new. Anyways, I fell head over heels for someone about 6 months ago, and both of us are poly, but hadn't had the opportunity to be in a poly relationship before. And it fell apart pretty hard. Things are cool between us, save some big feelings because it was a hard breakup. The root of the problem was that we didn't have the best communication. Boundaries I thought were clear, they were not clear on, and they didn't tell me some important things because they were scared to lose the relationship. Anyways, my question is, if you could tell your baby poly self something, what advice would you give? What boundaries have you realized are must-haves for you?
For me, don't expect me texting every day.
What?
Don't expect me texting every day. Don't be blowing my damn phone up.
You blew my fucking phone up.
I blow your fucking phone up because we work together. But I'm saying, when we first started dating, we didn't text like for the first 2 weeks.
Okay, well, but we weren't dating yet. We had met.
We had met. We had
We
fun.
had gone to a couple of things. Yeah, like we had fun. But we weren't. I wouldn't class. Oh, we're gonna start a fight on the show. I see how this works. But anyway, no, like we were. We had gone on dates.
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't consider. I don't know where you were, but I didn't consider us as dating.
See, I consider
Like,
us dating the moment you walked out the door and said, "I love you."
Yeah, but that was still a couple in.
That was 2 in, honey.
Back off. Anyway, so there's a date. We went on date. And then there was dating.
Right.
And then I think there was also a shift over to serious dating.
Right.
Which I think those are 3 separate groupings that if you're anyone in any relationship anywhere ever, you have to very clearly distinguish those lines.
Right.
And like, when is it we're going on dates? When are we dating? And when is this serious?
Right.
Like, if it's not headed towards, a live-in medical power of attorney, that married-esque, at least, even if you're not going to get married, but it's headed towards that, we're financially commingled, this is serious. This is a hard line. I think you have to distinguish what those are. I think those are probably very important. Not really boundaries per se, but lines that you have to be on the same page about.
Right. But, since they're asking about boundaries, let's cover some bullshit ones that really did not work.
Okay, bullshit boundaries that didn't work. Take it away.
Caring about the sheets. That's bullshit boundary number 1 for me.
Where did you come up with that one, by the way?
More than 2.
Oh, so the book we hate.
Yes.
Okay. Continue.
That one didn't work. Mother May I didn't work.
Well, okay, and we got to pause there, because I think that's a common one, that a lot of people, and theoretically it should work.
Right.
The basically, I'm going to tell you before, apparently because you think you have a crystal ball. But no, you think, okay, I'm going on a date. I can tell you that I'm going on a date with so-and-so at this time, at this place to do this.
Right.
And that, so because of that, you feel like you can create this permission system, or at least a check-in system,
Right.
in which before you do a thing, you say you're going to do the thing.
Right.
It becomes a game of Mother May I.
Right.
And it does not work.
No.
Because it really does start to feel like Mother May I. Because fundamentally, it becomes tied with an idea of cheating within poly.
Right.
You can do that.
Yeah.
It's not, poly is not an excuse to cheat. If nothing else, it makes cheating more annoying. Because you're going to get called out on the little things.
Right.
Because while you are very much capable in your poly relationship to go meet and to have fun with other people, depending upon the boundaries and the rules you set up, you will find yourself in some very tense negotiation conversations about when things went from A to B.
Right.
And whether that was cheating or not.
Right.
So the Mother May I concept, you should definitely inform your partner of what you're doing. I think as a partner in a poly relationship, you should always have the expectation.
Right.
This is the general idea. This is the general thing we're going out to do. Plans may change. Destinations may change. Intensity may change. Many things may occur. You still need a boundary in there of when does it go from like normal deviation, like the restaurant was closed, we didn't make it.
Right.
We decided after the date, because it went so well, that tonight's the night, and intimacy is going to occur. Those aren't moments you want a Mother May I.
Right.
Mother May I, can I go to a different restaurant because this one's closed or has too long of a wait, or we decided we didn't feel like Chinese tonight.
Right.
That's not a Mother May I moment you want to have on a date. It looks very screwy.
Right.
And it feels very screwy.
Right.
And again, that's from the more than two, I do believe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, more than two has more than two problems. There's a lot.
It has a lot of structural problems. And it's not the book I ever recommend for anyone to read that's going into poly. If you're going to if you are over the age of 16, you really need to read The Ethical Slut.
Yeah.
Okay. Boundaries that do work, that I find highly important, is couples time. Couples time is couples time. The rest of unless your dumpster fire is burning, it's couples time.
Yeah. Well, and understanding what actual couples time means. It's not just the period where the scrunchie's on, or the sock, or the whatever is on the door. It is the intentional dating that occurs within poly.
Right.
That is typically a two-person date.
Right.
And so it's an A-B situation that everyone else can see their way out of.
Right, including your cell phone.
Well, and again, you have to have understanding of like emergencies. Importance items. Like, is it an urgency? And or has it crossed over into you're trying to micromanage and stick one's C nose into an AB situation to the detriment of anyone in the AB.
Right.
And so that becomes a very strong boundary one has to set. That, no.
Right.
And especially around expectations for communication, and how things escalate.
Right.
Like, if I got a letter in the mail that seems important, that's a very important text message I should read later.
Right.
If, however, the cops are knocking on the door for me, that warrants a phone call. That warrants my time.
Right.
Away from the A-B situation I'm in to see what the fuck's going on at the other location.
Right. Or, and this is the other or to this, and I find it this is the other one. Hello, Invisible Honey, how are you? Hope you had a great day at work. We're still on the show. Exactly. The other boundary is what I call equal table. And it's clear, open, honest, say whatever you want to say, non-judgmental space. Like that, to me, is highly important.
Yeah. I think the other boundary, and I think probably the one I most love, is relationships are AB.
Right.
And you fundamentally have to see your way out.
Right.
You can listen to problems. You can offer advice. You can be supportive. You cannot get involved in the relationship you're not in.
Right.
So Aeson and Invisible Assistant can be at each other's throats. And other than the physical separation, if we're talking about a non-physical at each other's throats, I can offer support. I can listen to problems. I can provide advice. I cannot step in between and go, you're out, you're stupid.
Right.
No, I'm not in this relationship. This is an AB.
Right.
That I can see my way out of.
Right. Now, the other part there is what I call protect the nest. Dealt with this a number of times. Having the freedom to say, not vetoing, but saying, this one I believe is going to cause a problem. Or this one is causing a problem.
I don't think that's a veto as much as it's the icky factor.
Right.
Does someone give you icky factor?
Right.
And I think we've been predominantly on board with icky factor.
We have.
As in, it seems to be all three of us have the same icky factor moment.
Right.
Like, something occurs and it's like, ooh.
Or 2
Did
hours.
you hear? Yeah, I heard. No.
Yeah.
No. And so far it has been a unanimous vote moment. Now I will say, when it has happened, we've sometimes had 3 different ideas about what to do about it.
Right.
But I don't think we've ever had discord on icky existed.
Right.
Like there was an icky event, comment, whatever was said, or whatever occurred. We had agreement icky occurred.
Right.
And then it was, okay, we have a range of possibilities.
Right.
Because I know one in particular we had 3 different reactions to.
Right.
And they were about as opposite as you could get.
Right.
That kind of one of us was like, let's find out if that's not as icky as it sounded. That was this a miscommunication? Was the, you know, like trying to benefit of the doubt? I'll out myself. That was me.
Yeah.
One who, like, and I won't out either of y'all, but one who was like, nope, I'm out, I'm done. And one who was like, I would prefer to be out. I'm not necessarily done. I don't know how much I could hear that would improve this, but I don't see any positive forward direction this could go in.
Right.
And I think that's pretty as like
Right.
opposing as three people can get on the same issue.
Right. And you know, the other thing is self-autonomy. I make my own choices. You make your own choices.
Yep.
We can take advice, but the end result is our choice.
Always important, always important. That's sometimes, again, back to more than two and things that it gets wrong.
Right.
More than two is very fond of veto power and it being a unilateral.
And very fond of the hinge as the controller. And also, Polly is very fond of it's the hinge's responsibility. And it's like, no, everyone has their autonomy.
Well, yeah, fundamentally, everyone needs their own autonomy, period. I do think, though, if you're the hinge between two relationships, there are certain issues that you have to use your autonomy based on the A-B conversations you're having, or the there's an A-B conversation, an A-C conversation, whatever the diagram looks like, you know, of that whoever's coming to you,
right?
Like, you do have to ultimately use your autonomy and decide, are you going to handle this? Are you going to wait? Or are you rejecting it?
Right.
And understanding that sometimes that can also create a different A-B problem.
Right.
Like, you have an AC problem.
Right.
You now created an AB problem.
Right. But
because you're A.
Right. But at the same time, the way more than two, and I'm sure somebody has recommended this poor book to them, handles it is it's A's problem. And if D, that is not even connected to A, is creating an issue, A has to handle it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. No, that's going too far. So that's more like C comes to A with a problem with B's partner D.
Right.
And it becomes A's problem to fix the D problem.
Right.
And it's like, no.
Right.
No.
Right.
Like, either C can address that with D, or C can address that with B directly and be like, look, I don't like this.
Right.
Like, you please fix this.
Right. Please put your laundry in the basket.
Yeah. Or an actual real one we had. Which is, if D's bottled soda that is currently sweating on my nearly 100-year-old dresser doesn't get moved, A may have to bury a body.
Right.
So you might want to step in quickly.
Right.
That one did occur. That was and it was like, I will go ahead and say there were two events back to back, both involving the furniture in the bedroom. And on one of them, I was ready to murder.
Right.
It's like, you put a sweating soda bottle
Mm-hmm.
on the dresser.
Right.
Why?
Right.
What made you look at that and go, this looks like garbage furniture someone pulled out of a dumpster and said, I will bring it home and put it in my bedroom because, and then do whatever I want to it.
Right.
What about this dresser said that to you?
Right.
No. This is nice furniture. Don't do that.
Right. Well,
Um,
in all honesty, I don't
that
think
was
that
probably-
that person ever knew what good furniture was.
and again, I was trying not to blow up. It was like we were having that conversation about what nice furniture means.
Right.
We don't have a lot of it.
Yeah.
There are many surfaces in this house. You can set a soda. No one will say shit to you.
Right.
Not a problem. That's not it.
Right.
But then meanwhile, at the same time, wasn't a week later, someone had the audacity, which I just found it like to take gum out of their mouth and set it on the glass top of the side table.
Right.
And you were the one that freaked on that one.
Oh, I blew up.
And it was like brain exploding. And I'm sitting here going, honey, I don't care about that.
And I'm going, I do because I have to clean it.
Well, because I'm sitting there going, it's gum and is icky, nasty, ew. I can't believe someone did that. As that is, I'm going, that's a razor blade. It's not going to hurt the glass. The glass can survive far worse than that.
Right.
As long as it's not on the wood, don't put it on the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Don't harm the wood.
Right. But no, I lost my shit on that one. And I was like, no.
Yes. I mean, there was a whole ick factor for me, but not the ickiness factor.
Right.
But it was a moment of like, whoop.
Right.
I can't believe someone did that. But at the same time, it's like, is that worth me blowing up over? The worst situation that occurs is I have to get a razor blade.
Right.
And just scrape it off.
Right.
Am I going to be happy? No. Am I going to want to harm someone physically? Also no.
See, that was my turn to be that. I will, no, never again. Not allowed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think that one's been back since, have they?
No.
Like
They were just invited.
That was a nope, you're done. And that was his choice, and that was because that was his reaction. I was fine if they wanted to come back over. I think there would be a whole moment. Whole moment of like the trash cans over there. Because it was one of those moments of like a foot away. A foot was the trash can.
Yeah.
Why?
Like, no. Like, sorry, I like dudes that respect themselves. That's not a respect yourself.
Yeah, that one was again from a strictly furniture perspective. I was just having the can clean that with a razor blade. Am I going to be happy to clean it? No. Will I put up with cleaning it? Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, no.
Yeah. But like, no, water rings on 100-year-old furniture? No. No. Well, nearly. It's not quite that old. But
Yeah,
it's a very old bedroom suit.
Honey, what year were they married?
1936.
Okay. It's almost 100 years old. I'll give you that.
It's a solid like 80.
Yeah.
Or was a solid like 80 years old at that point.
Right.
And it's like, no, like you don't know the crap this furniture survived.
Right.
Do not destroy it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It was a moment in time that once I found out, my brain about ready to burn.
Yeah. And that was the moment I was having with the water bottle. Is it's like I'm trying to be polite. I'm trying to respect your guest. I'm trying to respect your relationship. I currently see a sweating bottle of soda sitting on an 80-year-old piece of furniture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like poor life choices. Because again, it was like another one of those. That's why there's glass topped end tables.
Right.
Like the end tables have a glass top.
Yeah.
So that you can set a mug of coffee, a soda, a glass of water, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
On
Not
top of
chewing
the-
gum.
Well, I mean, you can basically put anything on top of it except for a hot pan.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to really do any damage. Like, I have plenty of time to clean this up. It's not on the wood. It's not affecting the varnish. It's not affecting the wax.
Right.
All of that's protected. And believe me, underneath the glass is gorgeous. Which the whole thing were encased in glass, it would be pretty. But that's beyond the point.
Right.
It would be showroom. But that's beyond the point. The top of it, you like set your drink. I don't care. Set it there all day. I don't care.
Right.
Set 20 drinks on top of it. I don't care. Not the dresser.
Right.
It doesn't have glass.
Right.
We went back and forth on one point of whether or not to have glass cut for the top of the dresser. And it's like, it's not possible. It has a weird scallop front.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to deal. It wanted to be a huge piece of glass.
Right.
And the shape of that top presents a few problems.
Right.
One, it's a weird scallop. Two, the ends of it would be very pointy, and if anything ever knocked that glass off,
Mm-hmm.
God help you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to the emergency room if one of those corners hits you or an animal or whatever, you're going to an emergency bed or an emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
If you survive. And
Right.
it's like, I can't justify the glass. It would scare the hell out of me.
Well, you get nervous around glass in general. I've had a full glass bedroom suite before and loved it.
No, like I'm okay with glass in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain glass things that make me nervous.
Right.
Things with super sharp points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that we've covered the basics there.
Yes. So are we doing the first Am I the Asshole?
Yes.
Poll?
Results is no, you're not an asshole. So let's go for round 2.
All right. So am I the asshole for snapping at my dad that I'm already 18 and he no longer has the right to visit? He and my mom divorced when I was 7. At first, he visited me once a week, but the visits became less frequent. By the time I was 10, he only came over once a month. Yesterday, my childhood cat was put down. It was also my dad's wedding day. I had already called my dad a week in advance, telling him I won't be able to attend. I had to be there for my cat when she's put down. He berated me over the phone, saying I shouldn't choose my cat over his wedding. I told him I have already been to his second and third weddings, so what's the big deal if I miss his fourth one? That led to a lot of shouting on his part before I hung up. This morning, he said he's very upset, so I told him that if he continues to be a jerk, I don't want to see him again. He told me he has visitation rights. I told him that I already turned 18 6 months ago and that he shouldn't visit if he cares so little he couldn't remember my birthday. My half-sister, who isn't related to but is quite fond of my dad, said that I didn't have to be harsh with him and that it doesn't solve any issue. So ETA, some of you think that my mom deliberately scheduled the euthanasia on the day of my dad's wedding so that I won't be able to attend. I highly doubt that was her intention. My mom told me this was the earliest appointment she could get, and I have no reason not to believe her. She didn't try to stop me from attending his second and third weddings, so I don't see why she'd want to prevent me from going to his fourth wedding.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with not the asshole.
I'm going to go with not the asshole also. Here's
Like,
emergencies happen. And this dude sounds like he's searching for physical activity, not relationships.
well, here's my whole thing. Your visitation rights are a portion of the custody arrangement.
Right.
No one has custody of the 18-year-old. The
Right.
18-year-old has custody of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if they choose not to visit,
Right.
they choose not to visit. They're an adult now.
Right.
So you no longer have visitation rights. You cannot be forced to see each other. He cannot take you to court.
Right.
Now I do wonder, because now I'm sure that since there have been changes, as to whether or not dads or moms in a custody situation that have a condition that they must cover college, or as long as the child's enrolled, must maintain insurance. I wonder if there's some conflation there, that meant that you had custody until or this custody arrangement was in effect until they were 24 or 26. But no, it's basically a graduated system. I don't think there's anywhere that says no. This custody arrangement includes after 18.
Well, interestingly, since you bring that up, no, he stopped paying child support when OP was 16. He told us he got into debt. My grandpa and grandmother took over, so my mom didn't sue. They stopped when I turned 18.
Ooh. Oh, bless their hearts. They think that the child support payments stop with turning 18. That's not always true.
Right.
Because there's an arrears
agreement.
Do what now?
I feel like this is a private agreement.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, this can be a little more touchy. But ultimately at 18, unless you have something that makes you, I'm trying to say it nicely, but unless you have a mental disease or defect,
right,
that requires someone to have a custodial arrangement for your care,
right.
Nope, you're a free adult. You just told him the truth. Now, I will say on the flip side of that, not always the best of choices in some instances.
Right.
Depending upon what your future entails.
Right.
Not that you're wrong.
Right.
But this can be a poke the bear moment, and you may need the bear's information for your free application for federal student aid.
Right.
Which they have to voluntarily give you.
Right. Although I think in some states, in some situations, that's being overturned.
Oh, really?
Also commented in here, my grandparents did say they'd remind him, but I told them not to. Wanted to see if he remembered on his own, but he didn't.
Oh, crap. So he really did forget the birthday.
Yeah, he forgot that his son was 18 years old.
Oopsies. Well, that's a hell of a moment to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So so I'm going to put the poll up so everyone can vote, and then I'll answer the question I got there.
Okay. All right.
All right. So the question I got is glass bedroom set. Yes, it was a gorgeous glass and iron bedroom set that was canopy,
Mhm.
glass headboard, glass end tables, the dressing table, glass double layer with a lovely seat, also wrought iron, and then the dresser was wrought iron with glass, well, mirrored panels. It was beautiful, with a very beautiful double side mirror. I had it in my townhouse in Columbus. It worked very well, and it's one of the first beds I didn't destroy.
The wrought iron helps.
Yes, yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Alrighty. Yeah, that was kind of what I envisioned. I've seen a couple of different versions of that.
mhm.
Like my first and last, I actually had the same table. It was one of the first pieces of furniture I bought. I had a glass end table. Again, it was metal with a big glass panel in it. I was fine with that. I did have a glass when I was before I was living on my own. Back when I was in West Virginia, it was so technically Dad's. We did have a glass coffee table, wood with the glass inset. That one actually shattered on me.
Okay.
Well, it turns out that it had already been broken once, and the glass that it was replaced with wasn't tempered.
Okay.
So I set a hot mug of coffee on it on a very cold morning. And out of nowhere, the table shattered, or the giant piece of glass shattered. That's some of my I'm not a big fan of glass tables.
Yeah. Because I was like, how in the heck? Because, that bed had hot coffee mugs, glass ashtrays that conducted heat. Like, that wrought iron bed went through a lot of things. Yeah. I'd buy another one.
Yeah. No, the glass for that coffee table, though, it was just that it wasn't tempered.
Right.
It was just plain sheet glass.
Right.
And so, yeah, when it heated up just right, it just exploded. And it was one of those things we had no idea that it was replacement glass and cheap replacement glass.
Key point here is cheap. But no, if I could ever find that wrought iron bed again, I'd buy it again because it was a queen size. And instead of the I don't know, that weird screwdriver set you have. Yes, that's how technical I am about this shit. Yeah. The one all the furniture has.
Oh, the hex keys?
Yeah. Instead of that, it was actually 4 compression bolts for each part of the bed. Like the rails that were they were twined wrought iron side rails. Gorgeous. It fastened with real nut and bolt. Like you had to have crescent wrenches to put it together and crescent wrenches to take it apart.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Now my only problem with metal furniture is the 2, not 1, but 2. What are they? Folds into it bad. It's a couch.
Futons. Yep.
The two that we had there, they had both had one design flaw, and it was the dumbest design flaw.
Right.
And it was the little metal bracket, this little C shape, had just been like tack welded
Right.
onto the tube frame. It didn't go through it. It didn't have any structure to it. It was just this little sea of metal, little teeny tiny piece of metal, just tack welded to it.
Right.
And of course it broke.
Yeah.
The whole rest of the thing was great. Like it really was. Both times that's the part that failed.
Right. Like I won't buy that design again.
Yeah, I wish we'd caught it before we bought it. Like the first time, because the second time it was like, well, we have a warranty.
Right.
And they replaced it with the exact same thing.
Right.
So
yeah. No, I think the next one I'm getting, well, if I ever do a bedroom again, I'll get another wrought iron bed. But the next couch I buy is going to be a traditional couch. I'm done with the futon.
I will say the one that we had was the least money we've spent on one.
Right.
And it was great. It worked beautifully as a couch, worked beautifully as a bed, where it did held up.
Right.
But that one piece. And once it went, it's over. You can't fix it.
Right.
You can't continue using it. It'll drive you crazy. We tried.
Yeah. And I had never had that happen because I had owned that model before.
I think you had owned something very similar. I think it had a different method because this was the one, or well, there were two of them, but it was the one part that held the mattress on.
Right.
Once it snaps, that mattress just bloop right into the floor.
Right.
So it was, you would be sitting on it and feel yourself sliding towards the floor.
Exactly. By the way, the poll's up, guys. Go ahead and vote on that. So, all right. So just some programming notes, a possible delay. There may not be a psychic coffee shop next week. We will see how that goes. Just a heads up for our baristas. We like to inform you if we may be taking a night off. But if so, then we'll let y'all guys know well ahead of time with that.
Yeah. And again, we are sorry about being late this evening.
We needed it.
We're really trying to get out of there. Like, it is not normal it takes that long there.
No. But new girl, new cook, new everything. Heck, we even ordered the wrong thing because we're used to our girl that knows what we order. And we got used to shortening the order, and it came out and it's like...
Well, because there's two confusing items on the menu.
Right.
One is a meal item and one is an appetizer item, and the name, and they're easily confused.
Right.
Like, and our normal waitress knows what we mean.
Very much so. But
the new one, and it made more sense how she brought it out because she waited and brought it with the food.
Right.
And then handed like me one and you the other.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that makes more sense now.
Yeah. I was like, okay, like weird delivery of food, but all right.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, once we figured out what she did, because she was like, oh.
Right.
Well, what you asked for was, no.
Yes.
Not what we meant.
See, this is the problem when you get used to having the same server.
Well, and it's the problem when a restaurant has two confusingly named items.
Right. So, what the hell? All right. So let's wrap that poll up because I know that tone.
Yes.
And the answer is no, you're not the asshole.
All right.
All right. So with that, I'm going to let you take over and end the show, and I've got to go.
Alrighty, you have a great evening. So, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at PCSP Network. All right. Well, good night, y'all. Bye-bye.